Hey, second grade. Today we have a lot of things to get off the supply table. You're going to need to get one big strip of paper. You can get a small sheet of brown, small sheet of tan, a white and a black piece of chalk. I don't know if there's enough black pieces of chalk for everybody. If that's the case, we'll have to share. And last but not least, you need one of these little pieces of tag board. You can tell it's kind of thick compared to your other sheets of paper. And the first thing we always do is put our name on it. So I'm going to put my name on the big, tall, skinny strip of paper. Mr. Calvert, and you're my 2A, B, or C. I'm going to flip it over. I'm actually going to set that off to the side for now. Because the first thing I'm going to work on is this little tag board piece. And we are going to be using this to turn it into a cloud. So I'm going to draw a cloud that's about the size of this piece of cardstock. Make sure it's not too little. And we know that clouds are obviously kind of bumpy, lots of curves to them, so they look soft and fluffy. So I'm drawing a cloud. Once I have a cloud drawn, I'm going to cut it out. Be extra careful, you may not bubble cut. This needs to be cut nice and neat around the edges. After I have my cloud cut out, I'm going to throw away the scrap. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to grab that tall strip of paper again. So I started with my name, then I drew and cut out a cloud. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white piece of chalk. I'm going to color along the edge of this cloud. So I'm going to draw with my pencil so you can see where I'm actually coloring it. So I'm going to draw around the edge of it, not on the yellow paper. I'm actually drawing right along the edge of this white sheet of paper, of my white cloud. So I'm going to color, add in some chalk. Sometimes I might just do part of my cloud. Sometimes I might trace all the way around it. Pressing kind of hard. I'm retracing it several times so I have lots of chalk. Next, I'm going to take a finger and I'm going to slide it from my cloud onto my yellow paper. It's kind of hard to see on the smartboard, but that's actually sliding that chalk off onto your background paper. So it makes kind of an outline to a cloud. It's going to be a little bit easier when you see me use the black chalk in a bit. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of those. Maybe I'm going to move them around. I could overlap some. I'm re-chalking. Remember, I don't have to do the whole cloud. I can do just parts of it. I could have it come off the edge of the paper. Something like that. I'm going to do a whole bunch all over, towards the top, towards the bottom as well. Coming off the edge of my paper. Maybe I want to flip it over. Maybe I want to rotate it. I'm going to rotate it so that way my clouds don't all look exactly the same. Adding some more chalk. After I'm done with the white one, I'm going to switch it to my black piece of chalk. Remember, we might have to share the black piece of chalk. That's fine. We're good at sharing. And remember that I'm always adding the color to the cloud, not to the yellow piece of paper. All right, so I'm done with my white. Now I'm going to do the same thing with black. I'm going to do a little bit of black. Doesn't take a lot. And I can drag that off. Don't overdo it with the black. We know that black's kind of a stronger looking color. This one might look a bit more like storm clouds, kind of a gray after it's been smeared. All right, so when you get this far, you're done with the cloud piece. So I started by cutting out a cloud, make sure it's the size of that sheet of paper. Then I set it down and I used white first. Remember to chalk along the edge of the cloud and then smear it with your finger. You got to smear it onto the colored background. When you get a bunch of white ones, then you're going to switch to black and do the same thing all over the place. The next step is you're going to take this tan sheet of paper and it's going to get glued right along the bottom like this. All right, so you don't want it hanging off the edge. Don't want it sideways. Make sure it's right along the bottom. It should be about the perfect size. So I'm going to take some dots of glue. Doesn't take very much. Remember, a dot can do a lot. And this is going to get glued down to my background. So that's my land. The last thing I need to do is I'm going to add a mountain. You also might notice the land gets glued over some of your clouds. That's fine, not a big deal. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some mountains. So I'm going to take that brown strip of paper. I'm going to tear along both long sides. So I'm going to tear along here. I'm going to tear along here. It's going to be kind of tricky. So I'm going to get real close to the edge, going kind of slowly. Tore one. I'm going to tear the other side. Like this. All right, both sides torn. Crumple it up so we get some texture, just like we did with our mountainscape that we did. Crumple it up, glue it down. You might need to use lines of glue for this part. Sometimes those crumpled papers don't like to glue very well. Just a nice line of glue, and that should be good. And gluing that down. Notice how I overlapped that tan sheet of paper. All right, it's not sitting right on top of it. It actually overlaps. It kind of splits the background and the bottom. That makes it look kind of like mountains. All right, the paper might be just a little bit short too. That's okay, not a big deal. Start off by cutting out a cloud, chalking your clouds using white, chalking your clouds using black, glue down the tan sheet of paper, and lastly, tear and crumple up your mountains. Lots to do today. Make sure to clean up after yourself when you're finished.